Yo, what's good everybody? It's your boy Marlon here, back with another video. Today I'm going to be discussing what gear I currently have in my rotation. So I don't know if you guys already know, I shoot both digital and film. So I have a decent amount of gear in my rotation right now. Some of them not getting used because some of them, don't work. But for the most part, I've used every single camera that I have multiple times. So to start off with, the first camera that I'm going to show you, which is a camera that can't really use anymore because broken, is this Pentax ME Super. I got this camera from a friend. Only problem is that it has like an electronic issue, so even though you put it on manual mode, it only still shoots on 1/125th of a second, even with the batteries in it. Also, the film rewind lever, it got broken. I have my theories of how that happened. I left my house to go to work. I remember it was on the camera. I took pictures on the way to work. When I left work, I didn't even know that it was broken until somebody told me that it was broken. So I'm assuming that somebody at my job broke the camera. I didn't say anything about it though. That's what I think. Second film camera, not really used as much, but I still use it every now and then. Kodak K500 VR35. This is a weird camera. It's like I guess the best way you could describe it is a reusable, disposable. And yeah, that's the best I could say, because like, yeah, you only can go up to ISO 400, but I used Portrait 800 in here. And I like to overexpose the film anyway, so metering for 400 ISO, well, it's not really metering because it only shoots on one shutter speed and one aperture. Well, I like to overexpose the film, so like one stop overexpose when I use 800 ISO film. It's not the worst. Third film camera that I have, and this one is a pain in the ass, I'm not gonna lie, but it's probably the best one that I have, or maybe the second best for 35, that is 35 mil. Canon A1. I currently have two lenses for this Canon A1. I got this camera body only, but I had bought a previous camera before. The camera didn't work, so I kept the lens, and I already had an FD mount lens. So now I have two FD mount lenses. This one is a 28 2.8 macro. There's a lot of dust on here, but it's 28 2.8 macro lens. Haven't really used this much. I don't really use the camera much anyway because I read online that it has like a battery drainage issue, and I had bought two new batteries for this camera, and I used it like one day and the battery died. So apparently you have to like keep the camera off and close that so it doesn't kill a battery. But the next camera, which is my last 35mm camera and the most modern of the ones I showed you, is the Canon Elan 2E. This is the camera I used in my last video when I shot a Fuji 200 film. This is the first film camera I had. I remember I said it in the last video, but if you're trying to get into film, this will be a camera I would recommend. I bought it for $8 on eBay, and the good thing is that with modern film SLRs, you could use modern lenses. That's it for 35mm cameras. My first medium format camera that I'm going to show you, the Mamiya RB67. This is the first medium format camera I bought. I bought this in I bought this camera at the end of 2020, like November, October, around that time. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first bought it, I was not used to the waist level viewfinder at all. It's mirrored pretty much, so you have to get used to it. Also the weight, that camera's heavy as hell, I'm not gonna lie. But once you start using it, you start getting used to the waist level viewfinder, you start getting used to holding it in your hand. So I have no problems with that camera. Only thing is like the widest aperture lens is like 3.5 on the RB67. And 3.5 it's not terrible, but if you're using that camera when it starts getting a little dark and you don't have a tripod, that camera is kind of heavy to be using at slower shutter speeds. Even though I have done it, I think the lowest I've been was like 1/15th, 1/8th of a second. I wanted to sell that camera to get the RZ, but unfortunately I dropped the camera a couple weeks before I thought about selling it, and it's currently broken. Something's wrong with the shutter in the camera. Even though the shutter's on the lens, I'm pretty sure the lens still works. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to test it out, but the body is pretty much fucked, so I gotta get it repaired. Keep it as like a backup medium format camera, because the one that I currently have right now, not an RZ, which would have been nice, but that shit's expensive as fuck. The Pentax 6.7. This one is the mirror lockup one, so I read like the mirror in the Pentax 6.7, that shit slaps. And when I first used the camera, that shit slaps real. It really slaps. But I only shot a couple rolls. I had this camera for like 3 months now, but I haven't really got to use it because one, film is kind of expensive, and to keep buying film and getting it to the lab to develop and scan when I'm not getting paid to shoot is kind of a hassle. Plus, this 165 2.8 lens is fucking brolic, and it's like an 85 on 35 mil or full frame. And yeah, that's good for portraits. It's good for everyday photography, but on the camera like this, carrying this shit, not bad, because I got the grip. You need a grip for this camera because like it's kind of scary to hold without the grip. But since I got the grip, you know, I could do a bunch of dumb shit. I'm not gonna do that, but like much more comfortable holding it in my hand. But this setup low-key is a little bit heavier than the RB67 because of this lens. But I'm planning on getting the 105 2.4. Boy, when I get that lens, it's gonna be a wrap. But that's all my film cameras. I currently have, you know, I'm shooting on it right now, the Sony a7 III. But I guess I gotta talk about my lenses. First lens I'll talk about is the Canon 50 1.4 FD. This was the very first lens I got when I switched to full frame. So when I first bought the a7R II, I needed a lens. So I bought this. I found it on Marketplace. The person was selling it for like 70 bucks. And they sold it with the adapter too, which is pretty cool. And this was the lens I used for like the first couple months of my full frame life back in 2019. Eventually, I wanted an autofocus lens, so I bought Nifty 50 Canon STM, and I bought the Sigma MC11 adapter to use it with. When I bought the a7 III, which is what I have now, the first lens, oh, I can't even show you because it's on the camera right now, but I bought the 28-75 2.8. It's a 2.8 aperture lens, and it's not $1,000 like a 24-70. I'm planning on getting a couple more lenses for the a7 III. I want to get a wider lens for like video. I'm trying to get more into videography and stuff like that. 28 is kind of valid, but I want to get a 24 1.4. If I can't get that, I'll get a 17-28 because this is the Tamron lens right now. I'm 2/3 of the way with the Tamron trifecta. This lens right here is the 70-180. The 17-28 is very wide. I could use that for my landscapes type of stuff. If I really want to push it, I could use it for portraits. But I mostly will probably use that lens for video, like this lens right here, because I usually shoot on 28 for this for video, but 24 is the ideal focal length I would like to use for video. That's pretty much all my cameras and my gear. Can't believe I almost forgot about the Samyang 85 1.4. This is low-key my favorite lens that I own in my collection because I love blurry backgrounds, and this lens is pretty sharp even at 1.4, which is kind of crazy. Get this over the G Master in my opinion. Very budget friendly, and images are really identical. Those are all the current gear that I own in my collection. Nothing crazy. I don't have tons of money, and to be honest, you don't really need to spend tons of money on gear anyways. Just perfect what you got. Find your style, find your craft, know what you like to shoot, and just work on it. Perfect it. That's all I gotta say. This video is kind of weird. I mean, I gotta plan my videos out, to be honest. Especially like this, but I'm not like going outside to shoot. I'm just talking to the camera and stuff. I'm trying to post a video a week, but if I'm out in the field more, then maybe that could happen like more consistently. But for now, maybe every 2 weeks. But I might have a video next week actually, because this weekend I have a shoot and I'm gonna be a model. Yes, I know, you know, an ugly person like me. I'm gonna be a subject in the photos, so I'll try to get some footage of that and see how it goes. But if you guys made it this far in the video, I'll appreciate a like, subscribe, comment. But also, I'll appreciate if you guys turn on post notifications, because I'm a new YouTuber and I'm a small channel, of course. Post notifications will get you, you can see when the video comes out, get a notification. And plus, there's not really many black photographers on YouTube out there, so I really could appreciate any support, because who knows where this YouTube thing could go. I'm not saying I want to be big as fuck on YouTube, but hey, if it happens, I would definitely not mind it. But hey, your boy Flixstar Marlin, and I'm out.